Welcome to today's deep dive. We're really glad you're joining us for this one.
Yeah, we have a massive stack of analysis to get through today.
We do, and we're looking at a tech landscape that is, well, essentially operating without a steering wheel right now.
That is the perfect way to put it.
Right. So our mission today is to unpack this huge stack of analysis centered primarily around Keith Teare's newsletter, That Was the Week.
And we really have a twofold focus for you today.
Exactly. First, we are decoding the chaotic, high-stakes battle over who actually controls AI policy. And second, we're following the money to see how this exact policy vacuum is radically reshaping venture capital and the very economics of how startups operate.
But before we jump in, we need to address something critical.
Yes, thank you. I need to be completely clear about something with you listening. The sources we are diving into today cover politically charged topics.
Very charged.
They involve figures like the Department of War's Pete Hegseth, the Biden and Trump administrations, and international geopolitical strategies between the U.S. and China.
So we want to make our stance clear.
Right. We are not taking sides or endorsing any of the political viewpoints or actions discussed today. Our goal is simply to impartially report on the fascinating arguments and ideas contained in our source material. We're just here to unpack the ideas for you.
And the core idea of framing all of this is arguably the most important question in tech right now.
Which is who sets AI policy, right?
Exactly. Who sets it? And what is so striking about the analysis from Keith Teare is that we finally got a definitive, real-world answer to that question this week.
And the answer is nobody.
Literally nobody.
Let's dig right into that because Teare makes an incredibly bold claim in his editorial.
He really doesn't hold back.
No, he says that in this whole drama surrounding military AI contracts, quote, everyone behaved badly.
He argues there are no good guys here.
None. Every single participant who had the opportunity to step up and show leadership completely failed.
So let's start with Anthropic and its CEO, Dario Amodei. The analysis paints him as the ideologue in this scenario.
Yeah, we saw a leaked internal memo from Amodei that is just wild to read.
It really is.
He essentially accuses OpenAI of gaslighting the public, and he calls Palantir's military AI offering almost entirely safety theater.
Right. And to understand why that matters, you have to look at how Amodei is responding to the sheer lack of formal AI laws.
Because there aren't any.
Exactly. Because Congress hasn't laid down clear statutory guardrails for how AI can be used in warfare, Amodei essentially treats that absence of law as an open invitation to impose his own restrictions.
Through private vendor contracts.
Yes, he was actively trying to dictate what the military can and cannot do. For instance, Anthropic insisted on strict human-in-the-loop rules for any lethal force.
And they did this explicitly because they were worried the Department of War could unilaterally change those operational rules later on.
Right.
But okay, let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go for it.
If the government isn't stepping up to create ethical guardrails, can we really blame Amodei for using his leverage to do it himself? Isn't he just acting responsibly to fill a dangerous vacuum?
It's a fair question. It really is. But analysts like Ben Thompson and Dean Ball point out the inherent danger in that approach.
How so?
Well, Dean Ball, who is a former Trump AI policy advisor, notes that while operational restrictions in defense contracts are routine,
You know, basic service level agreements.
exactly, Anthropic crossed a massive line here. They moved from technical constraints into outright sovereign policymaking.
Ah, I see.
As Thompson argues, a CEO attempting to build an independent power structure that dictates military ethics is not democratic.
It's a private entity trying to rival the state's monopoly on force and policy.
Precisely. And history shows that when a private company tries to rival the state will eventually destroy it.
That makes a lot of sense. And what's interesting is the fallout from that leaked memo.
Amodei did apologize.
He did, but if you read the apology closely, he only apologized for his tone, not his intent.
Right. He walked back calling OpenAI supporters Twitter morons.
And OpenAI employees gullible.
Yeah, saying it was an out-of-date assessment. But the core stance didn't change at all.
Not one bit. Anthropic still announced they would sue the Pentagon over how the procurement was handled.
And ironically, despite all of this friction, the U.S. ended up using Anthropic's model, Claude, in a military operation in Iran anyway.
Which is just a crazy twist. And that brings us to the second major player in this drama.
OpenAI and Sam Altman.
who the commentary clearly positions as the opportunist.
The timeline here is fascinating.
It really is, because Altman publicly supported Amadei. He went out there and gave him cover on Twitter.
But behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, Altman was simultaneously negotiating to swipe that exact Pentagon contract the absolute second Anthropic walked away.
This highlights a crucial legal nuance that defined their different approaches.
Oh, get down for us.
Anthropic was demanding specific, hard-coded legal restrictions regarding human-in-the-loop warfare to be written directly into the contract.
Right.
OpenAI, however, settled for the phrase, any lawful use.
Any lawful use. That is quite a loophole.
It is. It's incredibly pragmatic. Altman basically said, we will comply with whatever the existing legal frameworks are.
Which is exactly what Amadei refused to do, because Amadei didn't trust the government to keep those frameworks safe.
Exactly. Altman was commercially driven. He won the contract.
But Teare argues he suffered a massive long-term credibility cost.
The argument is that Altman was performatively democratic in public while being ruthlessly opportunistic in private.
So the next time OpenAI tries to take a principled ethical stand on AI safety, critics are just going to point directly back to this week.
Without a doubt.
So we have the ideologue overreaching and the opportunist swooping in. Let's look at the government's response, or rather the chaotic nature of it.
Enter Pete Hegseth.
Right, who runs the Department of War. He actually has the institutional constitutional authority here.
But the analysis suggests